Okay, let's get down to the point. What is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease in which the body stops producing insulin. Why? Inside of an organ called the pancreas, there are things called beta cells. These cells are the things that create the body's insulin. In the case of type 1 diabetes, the body's white blood cells, for whatever reason, mistake the beta cells for an enemy that can hurt the body. So when the white blood cells see these beta cells as enemies, they do what they always do when they encounter suspicious strangers. They eat them. This period of autoimmune carnage goes on for a while with little or no noticeable effect until about 80% of the beta cells have been killed. Once only 20% of the beta cells are left, the few remaining cells are unable to produce enough insulin to keep a person alive and healthy. This is a point at which a person is considered diabetic. So what does insulin do? Whenever you eat food, your body uses that food to create energy. In order to distribute the food, or glucose, the glucose enters into the bloodstream so that it can be distributed to the millions of cells throughout your body. The glucose can't get into the cells by itself. It needs insulin to let it in. Insulin is like a key that unlocks the doors of the cells to let the glucose in, allowing the cells to make energy for the body. So what happens when there isn't any insulin? Picture this. Imagine you have a grocery store. Inside this store, there's lots of items to sell, but these products need to be replaced when people buy them. Every few days, a big semi-truck pulls up to unload more stuff to sell. In order to get the stuff off of the semi-truck and into the store, you have to open the freight doors and bring it in. Well, what happens if you lose the key to the door? Without the key, doors remain closed and the stuff stays on the semi-truck. Inside this store, the shelves go bare because there's no new product to replace what's being bought. Without the key to open the door, it doesn't matter how many trucks are there with more food. If the door isn't opened, you could have a parking lot filled with semi-trucks full of food, yet the grocery store shelves would remain empty. The same thing happens to a body with type 1 diabetes. Without beta cells producing insulin to open the cell doors, it doesn't take long for the bloodstream to fill with glucose. Because it can't get into the cells, the glucose passes through the bloodstream without producing any energy. Because the cells can't get any food to produce energy, the body starves. It doesn't matter how much a person eats. Without insulin, the glucose stays in the bloodstream and the cells stay empty. A person with type 1 diabetes could eat an entire buffet of food and starve to death. If type 1 diabetes is that bad, then how are there so many diabetics still alive? Thanks to the miracles of modern medicine, we are able to create synthetic insulin. A person with type 1 diabetes must learn to think like a pancreas. They learn to count the carbohydrates in their food and then match those carbohydrates with the correct amount of insulin. They usually take insulin via an injection or an insulin pump. They must also learn to maintain a healthy amount of glucose, or sugar, in their blood. Although there is currently no cure for type 1 diabetes, scientists around the world are always working to improve treatments for type 1 diabetes until a cure can be found.